So this is Shloka number 19 of chapter 3 of Canto 1. Panchadasham Vamanakam
Panchadasham Vamanakam
Kritvagad Adhvaram Balehe
Kritvagad Adhvaram Balehe
Padatrayam Yachamanaha
Padatrayam Yachamanaha
Pratyaditsustripishtapam.
Pratyaditsustripishtavam.
Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Panchadasham,
Panchadasham,
the 15th in the line.
the 15th in the line.
Vamanakam,
Vamanakam,
the dwarf Brahmana.
the dwarf Brahmana.
Kritva,
Kritva,
by assumption of.
by assumption of.
Agat,
Agat,
went.
went.
Adhvaram,
Adhvaram,
arena of sacrifice.
arena of sacrifice.
Balehe,
Balehe,
of King Bali.
of King Bali.
Padatrayam,
Padatrayam,
3 steps only.
3 steps only.
Yachamanaha,
Yachamanaha,
begging.
begging.
Pratyaditsuhu,
Pratyaditsuhu,
willing at heart to return.
willing at heart to return.
Tripishtabam,
Tripishtabam,
the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems.
the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems.
Translation. In the 15th incarnation,
In the 15th
the
incarnation,
Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana,
the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana,
Vamana,
Vamana,
and visited the arena of sacrifice
and visited the arena of sacrifice
arranged by Maharaj Bali.
arranged by Maharaj Bali.
Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom
he was willing to regain the kingdom
of the 3 planetary systems,
of the 3 planetary systems.
he simply asked for a donation
He simply asked for a donation
of 3 steps of land.
of 3 steps of land.
So we'll read Prabhupada's purport. The Almighty God can bestow upon anyone the kingdom of the universe from a very small beginning. And similarly, he can take away the kingdom of the universe on the plea of begging a small piece of land. Here, of course, we are talking about the Vamana avatar, where the Lord was very tiny little Brahmana, very attractive looking Brahmana. He looked like a small child. And Maharaj Bali was saying, no, ask for more. I own the whole thing. Why are you asking only for 3 steps of land? But the Lord said, no, 3 steps of land is sufficient. Then, of course, the Lord became gigantic and took away everything from Bali. So Bali Maharaj represents Atma Nivedana. He gave up everything, including himself, to the Lord. He didn't care that the Lord sent him to Patal Lok. But the Lord became his doorkeeper. Such is the position of Bali Maharaj. That brings us to Shloka number 20. Avatare Shodashame
Avatare Shodashame
Pashyan Brahmadruho Nripan
Pashyan Brahmadruho Nripan
Trisaptah Kritvah Kupitaha
Trisapta Kritvah Kupitaha
Nikshatram Akaron Mahim.
Nishatram Akaron Mahim.
Avatare,
avatare,
in the incarnation of the Lord,
in the incarnation of the Lord,
Shodashame,
Shodashame,
the 16th,
the 16th,
Pashyan,
Pashyan,
seeing,
seeing,
Brahmadruhaha,
Brahmadruhaha,
disobedient to the orders of the Brahmanas,
disobedient to the orders of the Brahmanas,
Nripan,
Nripan,
the kingly order,
the kingly order,
Trihsapta,
Trih Sapta,
thrice 7 times,
thrice 7 times,
Kritvaha,
Kritvaha,
had done,
had done,
Kupitaha,
Kupitaha,
being engaged,
being engaged,
Nihi,
Nihi,
negation,
negation,
Kshatram,
Kshatram,
the administrative class,
the administrative class,
Akarot,
Akarot,
did perform,
did perform,
Mahim,
Mahim,
the earth.
the earth.
Translation. In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead,
In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead,
the Lord,
the Lord,
as Bhrigupati,
as Bhrigupati,
annihilated the administrative class,
annihilated the administrative class,
Kshatriyas,
Kshatriyas,
21 times,
21 times,
being angry with them
being angry with them
because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class.
because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class.
Of course, this is a reference to Parashuram. So Prabhupada writes, the Kshatriyas, or the administrative class of men, are expected to rule the planet by the direction of the intelligent class of men, who give direction to the rulers in terms of the standard Shastras or the books of revealed knowledge. So every kingdom must have an intelligent class called the Brahmanas and the administrative class called the Kshatriyas. And the Kshatriyas should seek the help and guidance and counsel of the Brahmanas to run their kingdom in a dharmic way based on Shastras. A king, the Lord will say in the Bhagavad Gita, that among men I am the monarch. Meaning, the king sees himself as a representative of the Supreme Lord, and therefore, when he is performing his administration of his kingdom, he is doing so on behalf of the Lord. That is the proper mood in which a Kshatriya should operate. The rulers carry on the administration according to that direction, which means they are always getting advice and counsel from the Brahmanas. I was reading a purport in one of the later chapters in Canto 1. And Prabhupada writes, what's the difference between Vipra and Brahmana? Because sometimes we use the word interchangeably. The word Vipra refers to that class of the intelligent section of society, Brahmanas, but who specialize in the Karmakanda section of the Vedas in order to help the human beings achieve their material desires and goals. Such a person is called a Vipra. So what's the difference between Vipra and Brahmana then? A Brahmana is actually well educated in the scriptures, and his primary goal is to guide the Kshatriya class as well as the rest of society on the spiritual path. So Vipraha means they are focused on the material side of the Vedic scriptures. Brahmanas means they are always focused on the spiritual side of the scriptures, on the liberation aspect. So whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas or the administrative class against the orders of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, the administrators are removed by force from the posts. An arrangement is made for better administration. So the Brahman, if the king was a corrupt king, for example, uh, um, Vena was a corrupt king. He caused so much issues for his um, subjects. But his son, King Prithu, that we just read in one of the shlokas, he is placed, his father is killed, and he is replaced as the king. So the Brahmanas had the authority to remove kings who were not doing the right thing for their subjects. So, but then even though the Brahmanas forcibly removed the king, nevertheless, the Brahmanas themselves never aspired to become the king. They had the authority to remove um, kings who were not performing as per Shastra, but they themselves never desired to take that position or post. That brings us to the next incarnation in shloka number 21. Tata saptadashe jatah
ततः सप्तदशे जातः
सत्यवत्यां पराशरात्
सत्यवत्यां पराशरात्
चक्रे वेदतरो शाखा
चक्रे वेदततो शाखा
दृष्ट्वा पुंसोऽल्पमेधसः
दृष्ट्वा पुंसोऽल्पमेधसः
ततः
ततः
thereafter
thereafter
सप्तदशे
सप्तदशे
in the 17th incarnation
in the 17th incarnation
जातः
जातः
advented
advented
Satyavatyaam
Satyavatyaam
in the womb of Satyavati
in the womb of Satyavati
Parasharat
Parasharat
by Parashara Muni
by Parashara Muni
Chakre
Chakre
prepared
prepared
Vedataroho
Vedataroho
of the desire tree of the Vedas
of the desire tree of the Vedas
Shakha
Shakaha
branches
branches
Drishtva
Drishtva
be seeing
be seeing
Pumsaha
Pumsaha
the people in general
the people in general
Alpamedhasaha
Alpamedhasaha
less intelligent
less intelligent.
translation. Thereafter, in
Thereafter,
the 17th incarnation of Godhead,
in the 17th incarnation of Godhead,
Sri Vyasadeva
Sri Vyasadeva
appeared in the womb of Satyavati
appeared in the womb of Satyavati
through Parashara Muni,
through Parashara Muni,
and he divided the one Veda
and he divided the one Veda
into several branches and sub-branches,
into several branches and sub-branches,
seeing that the people in general were less intelligent.
seeing that the people in general were less intelligent.
So, this is one of the incarnations of the Lord. There are different types of incarnations which we've already discussed. So, the literary incarnation of the Lord is Srila Vyasadeva. Originally, the Veda is one, but Srila Vyasadeva divided the original Veda into four, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, Atharva. And then again, they were explained in different branches like the Puranas and the Mahabharata. Vedic language and the subject matter are very difficult for ordinary men. They are understood by the highly intelligent and self realized Brahmanas. But the present age of Kali is full of ignorant men. Even those who are born by a Brahmana father are in the present age no better than the Shudras or the women. The twice born men, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, are expected to undergo a cultural purificatory process known as samskaras. But because of the bad influence of the present age, the so called members of the Brahmana and other high ordered families are no longer highly cultured. They are called Dvija Bandhus, or the friends and family members of the twice born, which means you could be born to someone who is a genuine Brahmana, but you cannot consider yourself a Brahmana until you have the qualities and you are doing the work of the Brahmana. Therefore, even if you are born by birth into a Brahmana family, in the Shastra you are referred to as Dvija Bandhu. That means you are only a friend of the Brahmana. You may be in the same family, but that doesn't make you a Brahmana. But these Dvija Bandhus are classified amongst the Shudras and the women. Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into various branches and sub branches for the sake of the less intelligent classes like the Dvija Bandhus, Shudras, and women. Now, just because these apparently controversial statements are being made to explain the reason behind why Vyasadeva actually bifurcated the Vedas into four, we need not be too perturbed about it. Actually, everyone in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada says, is born a Shudra. So unless you qualify yourself to become a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, we remain a Shudra. It just means that in Kali Yuga, we are considered to be less intelligent. And because our intelligence is actually reducing in this particular age, Vyasadeva, seeing the condition of what Kali Yuga is about to be, he very kindly helps make things a little bit easier for us, although we still find it very difficult, by dividing the Vedas and adding the Puranas and the Mahabharata, etc., to help us actually understand the Vedic scriptures. So Prabhupada writes in the purport here, the Vedas by themselves cannot be understood by most people in Kali Yuga. It's too difficult, it's too complicated. We don't have that capacity from an intelligence or even a memory standpoint. So that actually brings us to shloka number 22.
Yes, Mataji.
Naradevatvam apannah
Naradeva apannaha
Surakarya chikirshaya
Surakarya chikirshaya
Samudra nigrahadini
Samudra nigrahadhini
Chakre viryanyataf param
Chakre viryanyatah param
Nara,
Nara,
human being,
human being,
Devatvam,
Devatvam,
divinity,
divinity,
Apannaha,
Apannaha,
having assumed the form of
having assumed the form of
Sura,
Sura,
the demigods,
the demigods,
Arya,
Karya,
activities,
activities,
Chikirshaya,
Chikirshaya,
for the purpose of performing,
for the purpose of performing,
Samudra,
Samudra,
the Indian Ocean,
the Indian Ocean,
Nigraha Adini,
Nigraha Adini,
controlling, etc.
controlling, etc.
Chakre,
Chakre,
did perform,
did perform,
Viryani,
Viryani.
Superhuman prowess.
Superhuman prowess.
Ataf param.
Ataf param.
Thereafter.
Thereafter.
Translation. In the 18th incarnation,
in the 18th incarnation,
Lord appeared as King Rama
the Lord appeared as King Rama
in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods.
in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods.
He exhibited superhuman powers
He exhibited superhuman powers
by controlling the Indian Ocean
by controlling the Indian Ocean
and then killing the atheist King Ravana,
and then killing the atheist King Ravana,
who was on the other side of the sea.
who was on the other side of the sea.
So this is Lord Ram, and Prabhupada writes a slightly longer purport to this particular shloka. The personality of Godhead Sri Rama assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods or the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with a spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. So Prabhupada is explaining, in other words, materialism means challenging the order of the Lord. Ravana tried to build a stairway to heaven so that people didn't have to perform pious activities before they could go to heaven. They could just climb the steps and reach. So that is challenging the order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. Why is Prabhupada writing about this? So, in our current day world, we're sending different satellites, etc., etc., some machinery into the moon. Yes, human beings have been to the moon as well. But think about it. If you have to go to another country, Prabhupada says you have to follow a process. You have to apply for a visa. You have to get permission of that government. Only then you can enter. So if such rules are there on planet Earth, there may be some physical natural boundaries among nations. But from one place to another, if you need a visa and authority to go to another country, Prabhupada asks, what makes a human being think he has actually entered another planet without permission of the residents of that planet? How arrogant it is to think that you've actually entered another planet without that qualification to enter that other planet. That is why Prabhupada is skeptical of machines and human beings entering other planets. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord. But puffed up by tiny success and material advancement, sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravana was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of Indra by material means without consideration of the necessary qualifications. So, what was Ravana attempting to do by trying to build a staircase to the heavenly abode? It means you can bypass the Lord's law. The Lord's law states that you have to accumulate so many pious activities and only then you can be promoted to the heavenly kingdom. But he said, no, no, no. Why should anybody trouble themselves like that? Let me build a staircase. So this is violation of the Lord's laws, which means you are trying to break what the Lord has set up so that people can enter and go wherever they want without the necessary qualifications. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planet so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter the planet. Therefore, Prabhupada questions if people really entered the moon. Is it possible? He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Rama, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife Sita. Of course, Lord Rama came to chastise this atheist, answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravana, and the complete activity is the subject matter of the Ramayana. Because Lord Ramachandra was a personality of Godhead, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the materially advanced Ravana, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring in weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord by which He can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air, He made the stones even within this earth to be weightless and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God. If the Lord can have huge planets just floating in space without any support system, without any strings being attached to them, it's not that big for the Lord to make stones float, right? So the Lord always demonstrates His opulence in so many different ways to us. That brings us to Shloka number 23 for the next two sets of avatars. एकोनविंशे विंशति मे
एकोनविंशे विंशति मे
वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि
वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि
रामकृष्णविति भुवः
रामकृष्णाविति भुवः
भगवान् अहरद्भरम्
भगवान् अहरत् भरम्
एकोनविंशे
एकोनविंशे
in the 19th
in the 19th
विंशति में
विंशति मे
in the 20th also
in the 20th also
Vrishnishu
Vrishnishu
in the Vrishni dynasty
in the Vrishni dynasty
Prapya
Prapya having obtained
Janmani
Janmani
births
births
Rama
Rama
Balarama
Balarama
Krishna
Krishna
Sri Krishna
Sri Krishna
iti
iti
thus Bhuvaha
Bhuvaha
of the world
of the world
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
the personality of Godhead
the personality of Godhead
Aharat
Aharat
removed
Bharam
burden. Translation. In the 19th and 20th incarnations,
in the 19th and 20th incarnations,
the Lord advented Himself
the Lord advented Himself
as Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna
as Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna
in the family of Vrishni,
in the family of Vrishni,
the Yadu dynasty,
the Yadu dynasty,
and by so doing,
He
He removed the burden of the world.
He removed the burden of the world.
Okay. So here, Sutta Goswami has used the word Bhagavan. He has not used the word Bhagavan for the previous sets of incarnations that he has discussed. This is how we know that Krishna is the avatari and all other avatars actually come. The source of all of the incarnations is Krishna. The specific mention of the word Bhagavan in this text indicates that Balarama and Krishna are original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha, as we learned from the beginning of this chapter. So we mentioned that normally we think that the avatars are coming from Vishnu, but that's not the case. The Purusha avatars actually come from Lord Krishna. He is directly the original personality of Godhead, and Balaram is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baladeva, the first phalanx of plenary expansions, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna expands. Lord Sri Krishna is Vasudeva and Baladeva is Sankarshana. We've already been through the hierarchy of the various personalities of Godhead, so we will not go over that today. We will go to the next shloka, which is shloka number 24. Tatah kalau sampravritte
Tatah kalau sampravritte
sammohaya suradvisham
sammohaya suradvisham
buddho namnanjanasutaha
buddho namnanjanasutaha
kikateshu bhavishyati.
कीकटेषु भविष्यति
Tataha,
ततः
after
thereafter
kalau,
kalau
the age of Kali,
the age of Kali
sampravritte,
sampravritte
having ensued, sammohaya,
sammohaya
for the purpose of deluding,
for the purpose of deluding
sura,
sura
the theists,
the theists
dvisham,
dvisham
those who are envious,
those who are envious
buddhaha,
buddhaha
Lord Buddha,
Lord Buddha
namna,
namna
of the name,
of the name
Anjana Sutaha,
Anjana Sutaha,
whose mother was Anjana,
whose mother was Anjana,
Kikateshu,
Kikateshu,
in the province of Gaya,
in the province of Gaya,
Bhavishyati,
Bhavishyate,
will take place.
will take place.
Then, in the beginning of Kali Yuga,
Then, in the beginning of Kali Yuga,
the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha,
the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha,
the son of Anjana,
the son of Anjana,
in the province of Gaya,
in the province of Gaya,
just for the purpose
just for the purpose
of deluding those
of deluding those
who are envious of the faithful theist.
who are envious of the faithful theist.
This is a very interesting topic about the incarnation of Lord Buddha, because Buddha was actually preaching against the Vedic scriptures. So how can Buddha be an incarnation of the Lord? But he is an incarnation of the Lord. Lord Buddha, a powerful incarnation of the personality of Godhead, appeared in the province of Gaya, Bihar, as the son of Anjana, and he preached his own conception of non-violence and deprecated even the animal sacrifices sanctioned in the Vedas. So every avatar comes for a particular reason, for a particular purpose. At that time, animal sacrifices were proliferating, unnecessary animal sacrifices. So the Lord had to come and say, forget the Vedic scriptures. The Vedas are not important. At the time when Lord Buddha appeared, the people in general were atheistic and preferred animal flesh to anything else. On the plea of Vedic sacrifice, every place was practically turned into a slaughterhouse, and animal killing was indulged in unrestrictedly. Lord Buddha preached nonviolence. Taking pity on the poor animals, he preached that he did not believe in the tenets of the Vedas and stressed the adverse psychological effects incurred by animal killing. Less intelligent men of the age of Kali, who had no faith in God, followed his principle, and for the time being, they were trained in moral discipline and nonviolence. By successfully getting these set of people to disavow the Vedas, Lord, in his form as Lord Buddha, at least established some amount of moral discipline and brought in nonviolence. The preliminary steps for proceeding further on the path of God realization. So, if you want to pursue the path of God realization, first some corrections have to be made in society. If immorality has become so predominant, then the Lord has to come and rewind the clock and then set it forward again. So he deluded the atheists because such atheists who followed his principles did not believe in God, but they kept their absolute faith in Lord Buddha, who himself was the incarnation. So they were happily violating the scriptures. They did not believe in God. But when the Lord came as Lord Buddha, they had a lot of faith in Lord Buddha. Thus, the faithless people were made to believe in God in the form of Lord Buddha. That was the mercy of Lord Buddha. He made the faithless faithful to him. So these people did not have faith in the Vedic scriptures, but they had faith in Lord Buddha. So that means they were being prepared for a better trajectory. Killing of animals before the advent of Lord Buddha was the most prominent feature of the society. People claimed that these were Vedic sacrifices. When the Vedas are not accepted through the authoritative disciplic succession, the casual readers of the Vedas are misled by the flowery language of that system of knowledge. So, if you don't have proper teachers, then you are misguided because you don't interpret the Vedas for your own purposes. In the Bhagavad Gita, a comment has been made on such foolish scholars. Avipashchitaha. The foolish scholars of Vedic literature who do not care to receive the transcendental message through the transcendental realized sources of disciplic succession are sure to be bewildered. So Prabhupada is writing, if we attempt to read the scriptures on our own and try to understand the scriptures on our own, we will end up being bewildered, confused. So you need bona fide gurus and acharyas to explain the scriptures to you. To them, the ritualistic ceremonies are considered to be all in all. They have no depth of knowledge. According to Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyah, the whole system of the Vedas is to lead one gradually to the path of the Supreme Lord. So how can you accept those sections of the Vedas that are convenient for your material gratification and reject the other section of the Vedas that talk about the whole purpose of following Sanatana Dharma and the Vedic system is to actually approach Krishna. The whole theme of Vedic literature is to know the Supreme Lord, the individual soul, the cosmic situation, and the relationship between all these items, which means the whole purpose of the Vedic scriptures is to know who's Bhagavan, who's the Bhakta or the Jivatma, and what is Prakriti. And how is Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Prakriti, or Jivatma and Prakriti, how are they all interconnected? When the relation is known, the relative function begins. And as a result of such a function, the ultimate goal of life, or going back to Godhead, takes place in the easiest manner. Unfortunately, unauthorized scholars of the Vedas become captivated by the purificatory ceremonies only, and naturally progress is thereby checked. So if you're only interested in different kind of yajnas and pujas so that you can get something out of it, Prabhupada is saying, then your spiritual progress stops there. It doesn't go beyond. It stays on the material platform. To such bewildered persons of atheistic propensity, Lord Buddha is the emblem of theism. He therefore, first of all, wanted to check the habit of animal killing. The animal killers are dangerous elements on the path going back to God. There are two types of animal killers. The soul is also sometimes called the animal or the living being. Therefore, both the slaughterer of animals and those who have lost their identity of soul are animal killers. There's a Sloka in the Ishopanishad that talks about killing of the soul. Atmaha. Killing of the soul is we willingly negate our soul because we are so focused on the bodily necessities and requirements. And when we negate the existence of our soul, then we have lost our true identity. Maharaj Parikshit said that only the animal killer cannot relish the transcendental message of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if people are to be educated to the path of Godhead, they must be taught first and foremost to stop the process of animal killing, as above mentioned. It is nonsensical to say that animal killing has nothing to do with spiritual realization. By this dangerous theory, many so called sannyasis have sprung up by the grace of Kali Yuga, who preach animal killing under the garb of the Vedas. So Kali can really deviate you from the right path. Kali is so dangerous that people in the garb of sannyasa vastra are misleading society, but projecting it as if the Vedic scriptures authorize that process. So the subject matter has already been discussed in the conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Maulana Chand Qazi Sahib. The animal sacrifice, as stated in the Vedas, is different from the unrestricted animal killing in the slaughterhouse. Because the Asuras, or the so called scholars of Vedic literatures, put forward the evidence of animal killing in the Vedas, Lord Buddha superficially denied the authority of the Vedas. If Lord Buddha is an avatar of the Supreme Lord and the Vedas originate from the Supreme Lord, why would the Lord come as an avatar just to negate the scriptures that he himself has propagated to Lord Brahma first? To put a stop to the animal killing. And later on, Shankaracharya comes to re-establish the Vedas, and Shankaracharya very expertly pushed all these people who are practicing Buddhism outside the territory into other nations, so that the Vedic scriptures could be re-established. This rejection of the Vedas by Lord Buddha was adopted in order to save people from the vice of animal killing, as well as to save the poor animals from the slaughtering process of their big brothers who clamor for universal brotherhood, peace, justice, and equity. So the Lord comes as Lord Buddha to save not just the animals, but also to save those who are killing the animals, to show them a path away from animal killing, to propagate the process of non-violence. There is no justice when there is animal killing. Lord Buddha wanted to stop it completely, and therefore his cult of ahimsa was propagated not only in India, but also outside the country. Technically, Lord Buddha's philosophy is called atheistic because there is no acceptance of the Supreme Lord, and because that system of philosophy denied the authority of the Vedas. So the Lord himself came to reject the Vedas and to not propagate the worship of the Supreme Lord. What all the Lord has to do to rescue us. But that is an act of camouflage by the Lord. Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Godhead. As such, he is the original propounder of Vedic knowledge. He therefore cannot reject Vedic philosophy. The Lord himself comes to reject Vedic philosophy, but for a particular purpose. But he rejected it outwardly because the Suradvisha, or the demons who are always envious of the devotees of Godhead, try to support cow killing or animal killing from the pages of the Vedas. And this is now being done by the modernized sannyasis. Lord Buddha had to reject the authorities of the Vedas altogether. This is simply technical. And had it not been so, he would not have been so accepted as the incarnation of Godhead. Nor would he have been worshipped in the transcendental songs of the poet Jayadeva, who was a Vaishnava Acharya. The Gita Govind was written by Jayadeva. Lord Buddha preached the preliminary principles of the Vedas in a manner suitable for the time. And so also did Shankaracharya to establish the authority of the Vedas. So Buddha comes to reject the Vedas. Immediately thereafter, Shankaracharya comes to establish the authority of the Vedas. Therefore, both Lord Buddha and Acharya Shankara paved the path of theism. So they had to destroy something in order to rebuild something new. And Vaishnava Acharya, specifically Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, led the people on the path towards a realization of going back to God. We are glad that people are taking interest in the non-violent movement of Lord Buddha. But will they take the matter very seriously and close the animal slaughterhouses altogether? If not, there is no meaning to the Ahimsa cult. Today, many Buddhists consume animal meat. Srimad Bhagavatam was composed just prior to the beginning of the age of Kali, about 5,000 years ago. And Lord Buddha appeared about 2,600 years ago. So the Bhagavatam predicts the appearance of Lord Buddha 2,500 years ahead of time. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Buddha is foretold. So in this particular shloka, a future tense is used. Such is the authority of this clear scripture. There are many such prophecies, and they are being fulfilled. one after another. They will indicate the positive standing of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is without any trace of mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfection, which are the four flaws of all conditioned souls. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be one of the topmost scriptures that we can faithfully follow without any doubts. The liberated souls are above these flaws. What flaws? The four flaws. The human beings have a tendency to make mistake. We operate under illusion. We have a tendency to cheat others, cheat ourselves. And then we have imperfect senses on top of that. Therefore, they can see and foretell things which are to take place on distant future dates. That means the liberated souls who are speaking these verses, they can see way into the future. They can see what is about to happen, which takes us to the last incarnation that is mentioned of the 22 incarnations in Shloka number 25. Athasau yuga sandhyayam
अथासौ युगसन्ध्यायां
dasya prayeshu rajaso
दस्युप्रायेषु राजसु
janita vishnu yashaso
जनिता विष्णुयशसो
namna kalkir jagatpatihi
नाम्ना कल्किर्जगत्पतिः
atha
अथ
thereafter
thereafter
asau
असौ
the same Lord
the same Lord
yuga sandhyayam
युगसन्ध्यायाम्
at the conjunction of the yugas
at the conjunction of the yugas
dasyu
thus you
plunderers
plunderers
prayeshu
prayeshu
almost all
almost all
rajasu
rajasu
the governing personalities
the governing personalities
janita
janita
will take his birth
will take his birth
Vishnu
Vishnu
named Vishnu
named Vishnu
yashasaha
Yashasaha
surnamed Yasha
surnamed Yasha
namna
Namna
in the name of
in the name of
Kalkihi
Kalkihi
the incarnation of the Lord
the incarnation of the Lord
Jagatpatihi
Jagatpatihi
the Lord of the creation.
the Lord of the creation.
Translation. Thereafter,
Thereafter,
at the conjunction of two yugas,
at the conjunction of two yugas,
the Lord of the creation
the Lord of the creation
will take his birth
will take his birth
as the Kalki incarnation
as the Kalki incarnation
and become the son of Vishnu Yasha.
and become the son of Vishnu Yasha.
At this time,
At this time,
almost all the rulers of the earth
almost all the rulers of the earth
will have degenerated into plunderers.
will have degenerated into plunderers.
So, this is also a future prediction. Buddha was a future prediction, and now Kalki Avatar is a future prediction that Sutta Goswami is talking about to the sages of Naimisharanya 5,000 years ago. Prabhupada writes, here is another foretelling of the advent of Lord Kalki, the incarnation of Godhead. He is to appear at the conjunction of the two yugas, namely at the end of Kali Yuga and the beginning of Satya Yuga. The yugas come in cycles. They repeat themselves. The cycle of the four yugas, namely Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, rotates like the calendar months. The present Kali Yuga lasts 432,000 years or 4,32,000 years, out of which we have passed only 5,000 years after the battle of Kurukshetra and at the end of the regime of King Parikshit. So there are 427,000 years balance yet to be finished, meaning another 420,000 years are left in Kali Yuga, long time before the next avatar. Therefore, at the end of this period, the incarnation of Kalki will take place, as foretold in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The name of his father, Vishnu Yasha, a learned Brahmana, and the village Shambhala are also mentioned. As above mentioned, all these foretellings will prove to be factual and chronological order. That is the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. So with this, we finished the section from shlokas 6 to shloka number 25, where the 22 incarnations are mentioned. Not all our incarnations are equal. There are different types of incarnations. There is a Purusha avatars, there are Leela avatars, there are Shakti Avesha avatars. So different incarnations have different potencies. And not all incarnations are completely Vishnu avatars. So certain incarnations like Lord Buddha, Kalki, Parashuram are not considered to be Vishnu Tattva. They are not Lord Vishnu, but they are the Shakti potency of Lord Vishnu. So next Sunday, we will go through the rest of the shlokas. So the source of all the avatars is Lord Krishna. That is actually the most important message in this particular chapter, being conveyed by Suta Goswami to the sages in Naimisharanya.